characteristics of a good hypothesis. It must be testable. We have T square, G square testing, and we have to verify it also. It must state expected relationship between the variables. It must state the expected relationship between the variables. It must be clear and stated in precise manner. Should be limited in scope. The hypothesis must be consistent with known facts. It must be consistent with the substantial body of established facts. The hypothesis should be amendable to testing within the reasonable time. It should be future oriented, that it should have the ability to predict future events. It should be able to prevent blind research. Okay. Yeah, we have types already seen. Yes, yes. Okay. For example, we have academic achievements. Academic achievements varies according to the level of intelligence. You can state as a hypothesis. This is a simple hypothesis. It suggests that intelligence influences academic achievement. Here, intelligence and academic achievement are both two measurable variables. We can say that academic achievement is an independent variable and intelligence as a self. Academic achievement as a academic achievement will vary. Academic achievement will vary. Okay. Academic achievement as a dependent variable, level of intelligence as a independent variable. Okay. The hypothesis, okay, we already seen first types of hypothesis for a null hypothesis. A null hypothesis states there is no difference between the two phenomena or situation being studied. One variable does not have any effect on another variable. It is denoted by H0. Okay. There is a null hypothesis which states that no difference between the two phenomena being situation being studied. For example, the consumption of particular Ayurvedic medicine. The consumption of a particular Ayurvedic medicine reduces the chances of cancer. The null hypothesis will be, this is hypothesis, null hypothesis will be the consumption of Ayurvedic medicine doesn't reduce the chances of cancer. Okay. Here, hypothesis states that consumption of medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, reduces the chances of cancer. Null hypothesis states that consumption of Ayurvedic medicine doesn't reduce the chances of cancer. So it means that's completely opposite, which means that state that there is no particular relationship between the medicine and the cancer. Okay, it means there is no relationship between Ayurvedic medicine and cancer in the given hypothesis. If the hypothesis given that if a random test results are collected from boys and girls, does the score of one group differ from other? Here is the hypothesis. Here, what we are going to do is we are going to collect results from both boys and girls, and we see that one group of result is different from others. It states possible null hypothesis will be that the mean test results of boys and girls is the same as the mean test results of boys is the same as that of girls. Means that hypothesis given above proves that there is no relationship based on group and test score. Okay. Here we have two groups, boys and girls. States that boys may get higher marks or girls may get higher marks. Here the marks is distributed. It states that there is a relationship of marks may be higher for boys or marks may be higher for girls. It states there is a relationship between the groups for marks. Null hypothesis states that there is which means test results is there is no difference between test results in the basis of boys and girls. It says that there is no group relationship between boys and girls. Then alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis stated as H0 It stated there is no relationship between variables. And then alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis states there is a relationship between the two variables. It means one variable has an impact or effect on another variable. It is denoted by H1. This hypothesis can be simply termed as an alternative to null hypothesis. Alternative to null hypothesis. The hypothesis that is to be proved that indicates that the results of a study are significant and that the sample observation is not results just from chance but from some non-random cause. There's an example for alternative hypothesis. Here, same, the consumption of a particular Ayurvedic medicine reduces the chances of death. The alternative hypothesis will be the consumption of that particular Ayurvedic medicine reduces the chances of cancer. It says that it is in general. Okay. The consumption of a particular Ayurvedic medicine reduces the chances of cancer. The consumption of that particular medicine reduces the chances of cancer. Okay. It means there is a relationship between Ayurvedic medicine and the cancer in the human body. If random test results are collected from boys and girls, does the score of one group differ from other? That is hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis will be that the mean test results of boys that of girls are different. Okay. If it is null hypothesis, it states that same, which means there is no difference between the marks analysis of both boys and girls. Alternative hypothesis states completely opposite of null hypothesis. Then directional hypothesis. It predicts the nature of the effect. It predicts the nature of the effect of independent variable on the dependent variable. This researcher makes a prediction by on positive or negative impact or relationship between two variables. The prediction made by the researcher is typically based on past research, accepted theory, extended experience, or literature of the time. For example, adults will correctly recall more words than children. Okay. Here we have positive impact. Okay. Either can say that positive impact, or there is a relationship between the adults and children about remembering words. Okay. We say that adults correctly recalls more words than children. Okay. So this states that there is a direction. Next one, non-directional hypothesis. It predicts the nature of the effect of an independent variable and the dependent variable, but the direction is not specific. Here we states that here words, okay, recalling words is the independent variable, and adults and the children are dependent variables. States that adults correctly recalls more words than children, which gives that adults, there is a direction says that on recalling words that adults recalls it more efficient than children. So there is a direction. In non-directional, there is a relationship, but no direction is specified. Whether the impact will be positive or negative is not specified. For example, there will be a difference in how many numbers are correctly recalled by children and adults. States that there is a difference, yes, but how many numbers? Okay, maybe we can say that 5 words is the most number of words collected by children, and we can say that adults may recall 4 words or 6 words. So it states that there is a relationship between adult and children on recalling numbers, recalling words. But we didn't say that adults are recalling more words or children are recalling more words. Okay, so there is no direction. And how to write hypothesis? We already seen examples of hypothesis. Okay, what are the examples of a hypothesis? Let us consider a hypothesis that many manager in office might subscribe to that employee work on Monday morning than the day on Friday afternoon. Here, many managers in office might subscribe to that employee's work better on Monday morning than they do on Friday afternoon. Here, the independent variable is day, which means either Monday or Friday. Dependent variable here, work. They expect, here what they expect is from Monday, they can, manager expect that they can, employees can complete more works than Friday. So here, based on day, work done by employees is different. So here, work completed by employees is dependent on particular day. Okay, so here, independent variable, Monday and Friday, which if changes, it affects the standard of work. If we decide to study this by giving the same group of employees, if we decide to study this by giving the same group of employees work on Monday morning and on Friday afternoon, then measuring their work would be end up the following. Like here, this is hypothesis. And alternative hypothesis states that employees did more work on Monday morning than Friday afternoon. Okay, here there is a direction. Okay. The null hypothesis states that there will be no difference in the amount of work done on Monday morning compared to Friday afternoon. It is therefore the opposite of hypothesis that states that there will be no change in the work done. And say that, okay. So here we have one hypothesis which states in Monday, employees completes more work. In Friday, but comparatively, what they say, comparative to Friday, Monday employees doing more work. The alternative hypothesis states that employee did more work on Monday morning than on afternoon, Friday afternoon. There is a direction. It states that it is, yes, it is true, and also added more specific direction on Monday rather than Friday. And null hypothesis states that there is no change in work order, work done. Either it is Monday or it is Friday, they are doing the same. Like that. If we reject the null hypothesis, if we research the null hypothesis, this doesn't really mean that our alternative hypothesis is correct, but it does not provide support for either alternative or experimental hypothesis. States that null hypothesis is false doesn't mean alternative hypothesis is true, but it does provide support for the alternative or experimental hypothesis. Hypothesis testing. Direct verification or testing is required in the simple hypothesis. It can be tested either by observation or by experiment. When direct observation shows that supposed cause exists where it was thought to exist, we have a different direct verification. When a hypothesis is verified by an experiment in a laboratory, it is called direct verification by experiment. Testing complex hypothesis. It cannot be tested directly. When the hypothesis is not amendable for direct verification, we have to depend on indirect verification. Indirect verification or testing is a process in which certain possible consequences are detected from hypothesis and they are then verified directly. In order to test the hypothesis in terms of detect sequence, it is necessary to collect evidence by selecting or developing data, collecting tools to analyze the data, then to interpret results in the light of hypothesis and its detected consequences. Where we say detect means here from general to specific. The necessary conditions for confirmations are all factual evidence collected through test or other means should correspond with the detected consequences. The data collecting tool should take into account all factors and conditions that are suggested by consequences, whether it is a static tool, verifying tool. The consequences are logically detected from the hypothesis. Okay. Suppose the researcher wants to test the hypothesis, effective college principles. Okay. There is a hypothesis states effective college principles will have a higher level of job satisfaction. Okay. Effective college principles will have higher level of satisfaction. This that hypothesis cannot be tested directly by the researcher. He has to proceed indirectly by detecting the consequences that ineffective college principles will have a low level job satisfaction as compared to that of effective principles. Okay. In this way, the researcher does not test the hypothesis but test the detected consequences of the hypothesis. Once all the detected consequences of the testing come out to be true, the hypothesis is confirmed. If some of the consequences are true and some are not, the hypothesis needs to be examined again. Okay, what here states is we have a statement to state that effective college principles have higher level of satisfaction. So this is the hypothesis. What we need to do is we have to find the relationship between uh, college principles and higher level of satisfaction. In order to prove that, we need to detect the consequences, stating that ineffective college principles will have low level of satisfaction. Maybe effective college principles may not have higher level satisfaction. Also, ineffective college principles may have higher level of satisfaction. Okay, that should be tested. Process of hypothesis testing. Testing of a hypothesis is done by using statistical methods. Testing is used to accept or reject an assumption or hypothesis about a random variable using a sample from the distribution. The assumption is that the null hypothesis is tested against some alternative hypothesis. Statistical tests of hypothesis are applied to sample data. The procedure involved in testing hypothesis is select a sample and collect the data, convert the variables into statistical forms such as mean or proportion, then formulate the hypothesis, select an appropriate test for the data such as t-test or z-test or chi-square test. Perform computations. Finally, draw the inference of accepting or rejecting hypothesis. We have an example here. The radio station selects the music it plays based on assumption that the average age of its listeners' audience is 30 years. Okay. Radio station states an assumption that their average audience, okay, their average age of the radio station's audience is 30. Okay, it's an assumption. So we can say that based on the assumption, they will play the songs. Okay. To determine whether this assumption is valid, a hypothesis test should be conducted. Here, a null hypothesis states that okay, a variable is equal to 30. Alternative hypothesis states that average age of the audience is not is equal to 30. Okay. Here, null hypothesis states that average mean of general audience, their audience is 30, and the alternative hypothesis states that it is not true. It is not is equal to 30. Based on sample of individuals from the listening audience, the sample mean of age X can be computed and used to determine whether there is a sufficient statistical evidence to reject the hypothesis, which means it's not true. Their actual audience is not their average age is not 30. Conceptually, a value of sample means that it is close to 30 is consistent with the null hypothesis, right? While a value of the sample means that that is not close to 30 provides support to alternative hypothesis. Okay, if it is close to 30, then it is proves the alternative hypothesis. What is considered close and not close is determined by using the sample distribution of X. Ideally, the hypothesis testing procedure leads to the acceptance of null hypothesis when null hypothesis is true, and rejection of hypothesis when null hypothesis is false. Unfortunately, since hypothesis tests are based on sample information, the possibility of errors must be considered. Yes. We already seen the steps of research include selection of research problem, literature review, making hypothesis, preparing research design, deciding sampling technique, data collection, analysis, testing hypothesis, generalization, and interpretation, preparing a report. We already reviewed this. Okay. Analysis, testing hypothesis, reporting. Okay. Then we came to the final one, application of information and communication technology in research, ICT in research. Broadly, there are 3 levels of ICTs have made a mark on academic research, namely pre-data analysis phase. Role of ICTs in pre-analysis phase includes the application and the use of ICT tools during the research process before one reaches the data analysis phase. It is quite appealing that to observe the ways in which technological tools can be used to achieve pre-analysis research. Okay. Here we can see the some of the pre-analysis phases here. Like ICTs can be very useful for the literature review of any topic in any discipline. The college libraries have enough material to help research scholars for writing a dissertation, yet to incorporate the fast-paced global changes into one's writing and literature review, the internet is highly reliable. You can see that one nation, one subscription is already placed by Union government. One subscription. Sorry, one nation, one subscription. One nation, one subscription mode. Another initiative by digital initiative by central government. So it will be ready. It will be available for the research scholars, faculties, and students in 3 to 6 months. Some universities have e-library access as well. This saves time and effort. Portals like e-Nyankosh, JSTOR, Journal Store, Google Scholar, SourceGanga, Microsoft Academic Search are very helpful to do rich literature review. There are several other online repositories of multidisciplinary literature such as SSRN, EPW, and Encyclopedia Britannica, and among them. ICT tools are helpful for the purpose of data collection. Survey can be done using Google Forms. To conduct large-scale study, tools like SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics are very useful. These tools help to accommodate questions based on conditions, logic, and do experiment trials. Softwares like Mandali is very useful for the purpose of literature track. Mandali helps to manage, share, and find literature content. Then Microsoft Word, my Word, also features that helps to manage content and dissertation writing. Many college professors ask for write-ups and data in via email. They send back reviewed files to the research scholars with suggested changes and suggestions. The track change feature in MS Word. The track change feature in MS Word saves time and effort of both researchers and mentors. Features like Google Translator have profound value for international students and students coming from regions. There are mobile applications that allow scholars to connect and share knowledge with each other for data collection and pre-data analysis. Then on data analysis phase, we have quantitative data analysis. For quantitative analysis, various techniques such as regression models, t-test, analysis of variance, path analysis, hierarchical regression analysis, linear modeling. All these requires a huge database called at nation and state. Some statistical software that helps is data. SPSS, Statistical Package for Statistical Computing, MATLAB for MathWorks, and R Foundation for Statistical Computing, SAS, Statistical Analysis Software, and GraphPad Prism, among others. Such software makes it quite easy to run regressions and make data analysis more comprehensive for the researcher as well as general audience. For qualitative and data analysis, tools like Recorder have proved to be very valuable for keeping all the information stored, collected at the time of multiple interview schedules. Records make it online classroom program easy for the ethnographers to listen to the interviews in terms of storing information. Google Drive, Dropbox are very helpful. These gives access to multiple parties, including the researcher, mentor, academic friends, and more. To make qualitative data more scientific and objective, data analysis tools like Atlas.ai, SPSS text analysis, NVivo, this one, Transana, used for video describing, are widely used. Then post data analysis piece. Here we have, yes, audience. Okay. Uh, an online journal such as Economic and Political Weekly, Social Science, Idea for India, Science Open are good mediums for getting one's work published. There are collaborating writing tools, Typewrite, Upwork. For collaborating writing tools, Typewrite, Upwork. Widely used in the cases when several researchers wish to write and combine studies. In the terms of bibliography and referencing, ICT tools like advanced version of Microsoft Office packages are very useful. Then ICTs have proved that very useful for the purpose of plagiarism check as well. Some tools used for this are plagiarism checker, anti-plagiarism, plagiarism, right? Urkunt, government provided, Urkunt, drill bit, mostly used Urkunt and drill bit also used government provided through InfluNet Urkunt plagiarism software. Research ethics includes important topic. In a NET exam, there will be a question asked about research ethics relating to research ethics, whether it is ethics and what level of satisfaction needs to be done. Okay, research ethics are set of beliefs or fundamental principles of decent human behavior. It mainly consists of values such as equality, obedience, and obedience to the law. At the beginning of the research, there was no ethics or no guidelines or maintained in conducting research. Research ethics are more of moral principles than are followed by research in conducting research. So that it means scientific competence and pure best result. Research ethics mostly promote values that are essential for collective work, and those values are trust, mutual respect, and accountability. It makes the researcher accountable to the public so that participants would take part in researches by themselves. There are different stakeholders in research ethics, and their social responsibilities is to serve the society. Main stakeholders in research ethics are researcher himself or herself, the participants, research community, regulatory bodies, publishers, and the society as a whole. Some of the basic tenets of research ethics are honesty, accuracy, efficiency, and objectivity. Their principles include principles of respect for human dignity. The participants should be treated as autonomous agents so that they control their own activities. The researcher should make the person aware of the nature of the study, its responsibility, and they have also the right to refuse to participate. Researchers should also include the protection of human and animal subjects, transparency, and accountability. There should be a honesty in reporting the data, results, and methods used in conducting research. Openness in sharing data, results, ideas, tools, and resources would make the study open for criticism and this would result in the creation of new idea. Okay. Confidentiality is maintained while conducting research. One must maintain confidentiality in the context of communication, personal records, and privacy issues. Research ethics in the academic profession. Research ethics is a must for academic field. Research misconduct would erase the proper meaning of ethics in research. Misconduct in research mainly emphasizes on making up of data without any collection of it, manipulation of research material in order to change the accurate result. Even plagiarism also comes under research misconduct, where one took the ideas, results, and words from another research work without giving any appropriation or appreciation. Duplicate publication or submission of research findings, misinterpretation of research findings, and use of fraudulent data to support a hypothesis or claims are also a violation of research ethics in academic field. Then, the major principles of research ethics are minimizing the risk of harm, obtaining information consent, protecting autonomy and confidentiality, avoiding deceptive practices, providing the right to withdraw. Practices that are against research ethics. Those are right. Like practices against research ethics or research conduct is misconduct is defined as fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, or deception in proposing, carrying out, or reporting results of research are deliberate, dangerous, or negligent deviation from accepted practices in carrying out research. Some of the major research misconducts here: fabrication, making up of data, or results and recording or reporting them. It is the manipulation of research data with the intention to give false impression. It need not be a complete lie and may have an element of truth, but mostly it is an aggravation or downplay of the real situation so as to get the expected results. For example, claims made on the basis of incompetence or assumed results. You can say fabrication, like during research, we can make like if something, I would say, for example, I wanted to show the result that illiterate peoples are not honest. Okay, like this. You want to create a negative impact, like illiterate peoples are not honest. So I would collect or manipulate evidences like crimes or stuff like that. So I would say that I would make up the data, claims that they are not honest. And also during a conference, I think during a conference that in I watched it in online, states that black peoples in America, it is in America, black peoples are arrested and more peoples in jail are black peoples. They say that black peoples are uh, arrested and put in jail more comparatively to white people. Okay, it states that, okay, this is the statement given in the debate, and it is also stated true. Okay, black peoples are arrested more and they are in jail more. more number of people in jail are black people. So this statement is true according to data. Yes, they are getting more arrested and they are in jail more. More number of people are in jail are black people. But one person claims that the ratio of black and white in America is if 30 percentage of black peoples and 70 percentage of white peoples, that during this 30 within this 30% of the 30 percentage of the peoples are more in jail. It states that there is no racism is happening. He is claiming that there is no racism involved for these crimes stated. So we can say that data is manipulated. Like comparatively, black peoples are low. There is 100 people, only 30 is black people, 70 is white people. In what they mentioned. Okay. Within the 30 peoples, more number of peoples are in jail. So in statement itself, more number of peoples in jail are black, but here we can say that only 30% of the population is black people, which states that there is a race, there is a race discrimination in America. Okay. This is fabric, yes, making up of data or results. Okay. Then falsification, manipulating research materials, equipment or processes, or changing or omitting research data results such that the research is not accurately represented in research record. Unlike fabrication, falsification doesn't have any element of truth and is completely deliberate and untruthful manipulation of information. Publishing untrue and manipulated facts associated with the study. Falsification. Plagiarisms comprises the misappropriation or use of one's or others' ideas, intellectual property work without acknowledgement or permission. A direct plagiarism occurs when a person copies the text of another person without any changes and doesn't use quotation marks or attribution. Self-plagiarism, reuse of one's own work without suitable acknowledgement. Mosaic plagiarism involves copying phrases, passages, and ideas from different sources and putting them together to create a new content. Paraphrasing plagiarism involves the use of someone else's writing with some minor changes in the sentences and use it on its own. Breach of duty of care is a serious misconduct of research as it shows inability and carelessness on the part of researchers to ensure the protection and safety of the respondent. For example, disclosing improperly the identity of individuals or groups involved in research without their consent or any other breach of confidentiality or anonymity. Fraudulent information. Misleading or fraudulent behavior includes acts contributing to or associated with lying. It takes on any form of fabrication, falsification, or misinterpretation. For example, taking credit for accomplishments achieved by another researcher. Tampering is an unauthorized removal or alteration of documents, software, equipment, or other academic related material. It should be noted that tampering may also be classified as criminal activity. For example, fabricating another research work intentionally. That is tampering. Copyright violation. Academic integrity prohibits the making of unauthorized copies of copyright material, including software and any other non-print media. Individuals, however, may make a copy of an article or small section of a book for personal use. Making or distributing copies of a copyright article in a group is an example for copyright violation. Misinterpretation refers to an interpretation of result that is not consistent with the actual result of the study. It is the manipulation of results of the study so as to get the direct outcome. For example, suppression of relevant finding or knowingly, recklessly, or by gross negligence, presenting a flawed data definition. Steps to ensure ethics in research. Respect, risk, rights, roots, record keeping. Those are the steps to ensure ethics in research. Stated 5R. One of the basic qualities of researcher is to respect. Yes, okay. That's all we need. Okay. Okay. Action research model. We already stated it. The more questions, some of the questions have been asked. The main aim of organizational development is problem solving, for which there is a process of steps, including problem identification and analysis, plan for change, managing resistance to change, and assessment of change. We already seen this, like plan, act, observe, then execute. The circle. This is a continuous process and needs monitoring. The cyclic process of using research to conduct activities which produces new plans as the basis for further new activities is action research. French and Bell, 1955, had defined action research as the process of systematically collecting research data about an ongoing system relative to some objective, goal, or need of the system, feeding these data back into the system, taking actions by altering selected variables within the system based both on data and hypothesis, evaluating the results of actions by collecting more data. Action research is one of the distinctive features of OD and one of its core origins, French Bell stated. And the chemists and McTarget describes the action research model as plan, act, observe, and like plan, act, observe, and react. Reflect. Action research, in simple terms, is looking for actions, activities with a good to support goal to support the organization to achieve objectivity. It's a continuous and cyclic step of action to be implemented in the organization to search for a solution to the problem. It is for problem-centered and action-oriented research. Action research model. Action research model includes that all about gathering and diagnosis, providing feedback, and determination of action at various stages. The problem diagnosis, the process begins with the perception of the actual problem in the organization, after which diagnosis and identification of the problem are done by the external or internal consultant. Problem diagnosis step calls for data collection through personal interview or questionnaires. Collected data is then considered by executors. After this, the organization prepares for intervention techniques. Feedback, which results out of data discussion, is given to the executive to seek their advice on the basis of which action plan is proposed. The action plan is implemented, revised, evaluated on a regular basis, and then ineffective results are forced to repeat the whole action plan process until organization goals are achieved. Through this process, employees who resist changes are willing to accept change. It helps the group members to work in unity in effectiveness and to develop emotional and philosophical adjustment to change. The most used mode of action research is Warren Buick's 7-step research action model. Entry, contracting, data collection, providing feedback, strategic planning for change, designing interventions, and then evaluating the success of intervention. Again, going back to entry, contracting, data collection. The cyclic. Advantages include it aids in problem resolution by providing effective solutions and managing the changes of business. Helps in analyzing the problem and developing the intervention by emphasizing more on converting the information into action. It smoothens the learning environment as it facilitates understanding related to organizational functioning, issues, and challenges as data is collected from the whole organization. The process of action research, key involvement is of change agents, and they have top management professionals. Helps in rebuilding and organizational culture. It also aids in encouraging mutual trust, collaboration, and independence among clients and change agents that play a key role in achievement of organizational activity. It results in a long-term enhancement in the organization of the overall organization by supporting a learning culture, easy access to knowledge and skill transfer, and adopting a systematic approach for organizational change. It also allows leadership quality to prosper as it aids development of team building and team management skills, working collaboratively and guiding and providing feedback. Action research works with the approach of the organizations as a whole perspective since it works upon the entire organization and not only an individual subsystem. This boosts the leaders and consultants to visualize the organization as a whole bigger picture and in implementing action plans for enhanced organizational performance and achieving organizational objectives. In the process of action research, a change agent works together with the client and consultants to analyze problems, identify reasons behind the problem, and construct action plans which offer solutions for resolving the problem. It supports the organization in attaining the strategic objectives by developing alignment between the strategic goals and the objective of the action research plan. Okay, that's it all about research aptitude. So, any questions or clarifications needed, we can discuss. Uh, Tomorrow onwards, we will check the multiple choice questions till August 2020. Multiple choice questions. So, we will apply the knowledge that we have gathered and test what we have learned is correct or not. And we also will apply the concept in particular situation to find what is right on the part of research. So, any questions? If there is any questions, we will check it out.
No, sir.
So we can come